When my friend Wes Wilkinson served as a Baptist home missionary, he was assigned to help a man in Arkansas who ran a small poultry enterprise. This man had had one arm amputated, and his wife had died, and he had no one to help him. So Wes's assignment was to go every day and gather the eggs and try to be helpful to this gentleman. Later, when Wes had moved on to other activities, he heard that a fire had devastated the chicken coop. It had been burned completely to the ground. So he went to pay this gentleman a visit and was surprised when he got there because he'd heard that there was no insurance and no prospect of rebuilding. When he got there, he found that there was a brand new chicken coop that was better than the one he remembered. And he asked, and he learned that one day a group of Mennonites had driven down the driveway, a truck loaded with equipment, and had gotten out and had rebuilt the chicken coop. And what was more astonishing was that these particular Mennonites ran their own competing poultry business nearby. They had come and rebuilt their competitors' poultry business. When I started working for the Kentucky Council of Churches, I heard another story a little bit like this. I visited Third Baptist Church in Owensboro. The Kentucky Council of Churches had an annual assembly there in 2007. And during the assembly, the sirens started warning of an impending tornado. At the last minute, everybody cleared out to the basement and got to safety just in time for the church's enormous tower to collapse into the space where they had just been. Everyone got to safety. And by 2009, the church had rebuilt, so I dropped in to visit them. The receptionist that day had been there during the tornado. And here's what she most wanted me to know about what had happened. She wanted me to know that Third Baptist Church had received donations from Catholics. And she said, not only that, they were Catholics who weren't even in Kentucky. Well, as with the competitive businesses in the Arkansas chicken industry, this was a surprising action. For Christian traditions can also be seen to be in competition. These gestures of help by Mennonites and by Catholics were inspired by Christian love and by obedience to God. Now, these two stories remind me of what St. Francis said: preach always, and if necessary, use words. For truly, these two gestures of Christian solidarity were sermons without words. And all of this morning's scripture readings from the lectionary touch on this art of explaining what it is that God wants. And that's what sermons are. The art of explaining what God wants, but using words. Well, now, I was invited here today to speak about Christian unity, and that's my calling and that's my work. And this Corinthians text about the one body with many parts and the gifts lends itself very well to preaching about Christian unity. Piece of cake, right? Wrong. The art of preaching about Christian unity is quite challenging. At least it's hard to do so in a way that evokes the strong spiritual and emotional responses that we hear about in these 4 scriptures for today. Why is it such a challenge? Well, one reason that God's Word doesn't move some of us on the topic of Christian unity is that we're in a larger culture that has a politics of inclusion and exclusion. When we hear sermons on unity and diversity, we hear this whole larger agenda, and we might start to wonder, some of us, I wonder which part of that agenda the preacher is angling for this time. A second reason that the topic of Christian unity seems less gripping today is that there's less seriousness about doctrine and less loyalty to traditions. Well, for one thing, the loudest spokespersons for doctrine and traditions are often not the people we really want to be like. And for another, the religious diversity in our own families and in our own workplaces, our own schools, makes it more comfortable to just define religious beliefs as a private matter and avoid the topic altogether. And then there's a very positive reason why Christian unity stories aren't as moving today. It's the new normal. The ecumenical movement for Christian unity has been so successful that now most of us expect that the churches will work together and cooperate. I have to tell you, however, that the times are changing, and the progress toward Christian unity should not be taken for granted. Very few seminaries teach about Christian unity anymore. Church membership declines means that church leaders have less time to meet with each other and less money for inter-church cooperation. And there are other demographic trends as well that you might not be as familiar with. Did you know that 1 out of every 6 Catholic priests now is brought here from another country, and that very often that's a country with little or no positive experience of ecumenism? So if interchurch cooperation were a swimming pool and I were the lifeguard, I'd be blowing my whistle to get some help over in the pump room. If interchurch cooperation were a swimming pool and I were the lifeguard, and this is something I used to do, I would be blowing my whistle to get you to come over and help me in the pump room. And the people who will run the fastest to the pump room to help, the people who know what that whistle means, they will be those of you who have some idea what it is to be shut out, to be scorned or despised, disrespected, discriminated against, unvalued, or just considered wrong in some way. This is why that Corinthians passage talks about suffering. Those images about the whole body being one organ, or one part of the body trying to get away from another, they're comical, and they're comical on purpose. Paul wants us to laugh at our own behavior. But let's not miss the pain of being less respected, the pain of being found dispensable. This is why Paul sums up the body imagery with, if one member suffers, all suffer together with it. And if one member is honored, all rejoice together with it. Now, in the Kentucky Council of Churches, you can experience both that rejoicing and the pain. And because of supportive congregations like you, 12 distinct Christian traditions come together as the council to learn to know and respect and understand each other. And together we find consensus areas where we can speak out together on public issues for the sake of people who have less voice. And around those meeting tables, as the interpersonal trust grows, we get to hear about those turning points in people's lives when they came to treasure the work for Christian unity. Father Joe Graffis of Louisville talks about his mother being turned down for a public school teaching job because she was Catholic. and the fear of the Ku Klux Klan and the Masons, who were actively anti-Catholic in those decades. Joe Grafus's father was a Methodist. Theologian Margaret Ralph of Lexington tells about being taught in school that her father would go to hell because he was a Presbyterian. Incidentally, that's what I am. These two Catholic friends that you can meet at the council, Joe Grafus and Margie Ralph, they're seeking healing for the Christian world because they loved both of their parents, a Catholic and a Protestant. They know the deep longing for the body to be one, for the family to be one, for the sake of the people that they love. Their love and suffering can only remind us of God's love and God's work in Jesus Christ. Humanity's separation from God and division from each other. He felt that wound, and he lived and died and was resurrected in order to heal it. On the night when he was betrayed, he included his betrayer in that last meal. And he prayed that his disciples would be one and would enjoy the unity that he enjoys with God the Father. The body described in Corinthians is Christ's body. He invites us into that very love for each other that takes us to that place of suffering. He invites us to be part of the healing that he has accomplished, so that his children will all have the honor instead of the disparagement. In the United States, where we mainline Protestants have had a privileged place in establishing the culture and its institutions, many of us are less in touch than Joe and Margie are with the pain of these divisions in the Christian world. Perhaps as we continue to lose our privileged place in American society, we will identify more truly with that pain. However it is that you come to feel the urgency of this matter, today in your presence, I am blowing the whistle about it. You are needed in the pump room. Those of us who gather here in the pump room will know that even occasional acts of compassion, like the rebuilding of that poultry farm or the rebuilding of Third Baptist Church in Owensboro, as eloquent as those acts are, they're not enough. Because the work at hand is steady work. The pump room for this school has to be visited daily. I do not blow the whistle out of fear or anxiety. Since Christian unity is something that Jesus himself prays for, its ultimate fate is secure, even though some may want to throw us over the cliff for pursuing it. I only blow the whistle today to call you to prayer and to action. Work for Christian unity. Work, not with weeping, but with joy. Work with prayers that your words and meditations will be acceptable in God's sight. Work with a sense that the role of unity belongs among God's gifts and callings. And the peace of Christ, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in the love of Jesus Christ. Amen.